This is the Levels Network. I'm Justin Horo, joined by the Triple OG, Willie Mason OG. We were driving in. You weren't happy with your weekend, mate. You weren't happy with the AFL. Let's delve straight into it.
Yeah. I went down there for the AFL Grand Final expecting, what everyone's talking about, right? Oh, it's the best day. It's probably the worst major event I've ever been to.
What do you mean? Like
I
what?
don't know. I don't know. It was just boring.
The contest didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, I was expecting there's 100,000 people there. I'm like 25 minutes in, this is boring. And I think it was maybe what the Swans dished up. What a mad.
Very underwhelming.
Very underwhelming. And if I speak to most people that were down there, it was very underwhelming. If it was going off just like an event, terrible.
Okay, so I was at the races watching the pre-game, the game. We had it on mute because we had our own private suite. We had the races going with the volume up. I heard Katy Perry's performance was good though.
I didn't rock up for Katy Perry. I thought she was. and I didn't know she was before the game. I thought it was half time.
Oh, gotcha.
She's before. I'm not rocking up at fucking 2 o'clock to watch Katy Perry.
Yeah. What time did
I think it's 2:30, so she would have been on at 1:30 or some shit. I wasn't nowhere near it.
Yes.
So yeah, that, and then I think at the half time they had kids kicking around the ball and a 100-meter sprint.
Oh yeah, talk us through the 100 meter. Oh, we'll break this down. Talk us through the 100-meter sprint because this is something that they've talked about.
Are we trying to do that in league?
I think so. They're talking about it, but I don't think it's been confirmed in the end. You know what? Funny story. At my brother's Bucks on the weekend, he's mates with Xavier Savage.
Yeah.
He was at the Bucks with us.
So he's training hard.
So the boys asked him, like, are you doing this sprint? And he's like, oh, no.
So it's not 100% in?
Well, he's not involved in it. And I find it hilarious because my brother's like closer to 30, X is a little bit younger. Do you know how they're mates? This is the world we live in now.
You actually told me.
They game together. They're
gaming friends.
They've been gaming together for like 2 or 3 years. They get on, they'll text each other before they go on, and then they'll game together and play like Call of Duty and all that.
That's unbelievable.
How funny is that? Like that shows how huge online game. Remember when we had that chat?
Real friendship through it.
Full friendship coming to the Bucks party, mate. It was like they'd known each other for 20 years. Yeah. It was ridiculous. And so it was all my brother, his mates, some touch footy mates, and then those just boys must just talk on there for like a couple of hours per night.
You know what? Going back to the AFL, right?
Yeah, go back to the race.
I was speaking to PK, one of our good friends. He reckons it was the teams that were involved. It's the supporter base. He goes, if you go to a Carlton-Collingwood game,
huge.
They go, fucking, this will be off its head. That'd be like going to a South and Roosters grand final. The crowds or a Bulldogs para.
That's the best.
That would be, yeah. So you got two supporter bases that are genuinely quiet. Brisbane, they're all flying down. Sydney, it's like a cool thing to go for the Swans, isn't it, in Sydney?
How do you reckon a Brisbane Broncos versus Melbourne Storm grand final would go in Sydney?
Yeah, I don't know. We'd still show up. Our fans are different.
What was 06 like? That was the grand final in 06, wasn't it?
But that had the crowds are still there. They had some great players.
And that was a good grand final too.
Yeah, it was a classic grand. I think it would have been way better if it was a great grand final, but it was over by quarter time. That's what it is. And that's why a lot of the supporters were asking me, how was it? I'm like, I was bored shitless. And then they go, well, because of the game was pretty shit. I went, yeah, well.
Yeah, that would have to be. That's the main
Sydney
factor.
Swans' fault then. Fucking have a decent crack.
Jesus. I was watching it back and I play golf at the coast and we see a couple of the Sydney Swans players there quite often. I get in Little Bay when I go down and go for a swim in the mornings, I sort of I'll grab a coffee at this little van truck that goes down there, and Errol Goulden, one of the Sydney midfielders, he's an absolute weapon. His mum is the main chick. So I've been like low-key rooting for them for a while, for the last couple of years, because he made the All-Australian team this year after back a really good season, and then they've been really competitive in the last couple of years. So
they're copping some shit.
Of course, yeah, off the back of a result like that.
Two like that, Geelong getting pumped. That would have been another bad grand final because it was done by half time. Yeah. So I felt sorry for the die-hard supporters. I'm not a die-hard supporter. I'm sitting there going,
clearly not.
This is awful.
Yeah.
Like as a spectacle, right? Yeah. Because of the effort that the fucking Swans put in. So if you're a die-hard and you know what's going on, I know a little bit what's going on. Yeah. Just a little 50-50s they kept losing and the effort plays, and just like Brisbane just looked like they had just playing at another level.
Yeah, it's when I've watched AFL now for a number of years, really enjoy it, and there've been times when I've got, had a little punt responsibly, of course. What are you really gambling with? And sometimes it feels like, how can the other team just not get the ball back?
Yeah.
That's what
this game was at.
We're a rugby league podcast, right? So let's compare it to Penrith Panthers. There must be AFL fans that are going, why do Penrith just make so much more meters? Why do they continue to just roll through teams, get the ball kicked off to them? It's the same sort of thing. It's momentum. Once you've got it, it's harder to let it go, really, because you control the ball that way. You fatigue the other team, obviously.
And I've been to AFL games before. They were just way better.
Yeah. So PK and that, what the boys say about it?
No, they hated it.
Yeah, okay.
Every single person that I talked to down there that were die hard, like Carlton supporters and whatever, they hated it as much as me. So I'm not talking out of school.
And there was probably
I'm just saying what I feel.
Probably a part of it that you telling them how shit it was for 4 quarters probably played a part.
Are we going yet? Can we go? Can we go? I was there till the fucking end.
Yeah. Actually, let's factor something in because there might be there are definitely NRL fans that love AFL as well. Another factor for you, going to an AFL grand final. For one thing that I don't think people expect when they meet you is how good you are to people, and I wouldn't say I'm a rude cunt, but like if we're at an event and we've got some content to do, like I just get my trot on, try to get going. Yeah. You will pretty much stop with pretty much everyone, have a photo, have a chat, and so that must be torture for you.
It's emotionally draining sometimes, right? And by the end of it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Everyone's super nice and like mad supportive and everything like that. But so I'm like, and our fans are crazy. They love levels, man. Everyone loves it. So I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit there and have a chat with anyone. It's all good vibes and stuff like that. But like at the end when you want to go and you can't take more than like 3 steps and it takes you like an hour and a half to get out of there. I'm like, that's why I want to leave early. It's game over, right? So I factor in all those things. I'm like, there's 100,000 people here. And guess where? Where they're from? Brisbane and Sydney. At least 80%.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it.
Yeah, you're copping it.
And it was all right. It was great. But I'm just saying, as an event, I'm not going again.
Yeah. All right, sweet as.
Unless it's Carlton and Collingwood. So can you have a crack, or Richmond or some team?
One of the big dogs.
Because all the boys love Carlton. They're obsessed.
All right, fair enough. And also, quickly before we move off it, Xavier Savage, super impressive young kid. You'd love him, mate.
It's good to know.
Just had a little chat to him about footy, nothing too much. We were just enjoying the races.
Mackay boy or Cairns boy?
I think he's a Cairns boy.
Okay.
I think he's a Cairns boy. But like, one of those young guys that doesn't have to be, but super respectful, really humble, be like a quiet dude. He was impressive. And I said it before, I think he's going to play Origin in the next 12 months. If there were some injuries in the outside backs, I reckon he's a chance. All right, let's get into it. Got this one from Mothy to kick off the show. Big Willie, availability is your best ability. He runs at spaces, not faces. You're low-key a dope rhymer, Willie. Try, palms are sweaty and mom's spaghetti. Love you, brother.
Thank you, mate.
Also, I want to thank you, everyone who has supported us. Remember, hit that like button for Lukey at the back there. We want to get to 1,000 likes. Lukey, can you just pop up and let me know if we got to 1,000 last week? Not good enough. Thumbs down. So leave us a review on Apple and Spotify as it continues to build our show. Our BSC Dogs of the Week. Remember, you can find these bad boys in 7-Eleven.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure both these two players have been just sculling BSC cans before the games, because it's pretty easy to figure out where we're going to be going on this one. We just had to figure out who was going to go who. And you've gone the Prince of Penny.
Well, and you just asked me before, do we want stats or anything? I said, I don't do the stats on Nathan Cleary.
It doesn't.
It's the moments. It's how clutch he is. He's going to get, I'm pretty apprehensive on anointing these younger kids, man.
You're even apprehensive saying it right now.
And I'm like, fuck, he just keeps doing shit like this. I've never seen this since the dominance of a peak JT, a peak Andrew Johns. It's fucking crazy. The 40-20, the assist to Alamotti, just bang, bang. The defense that he does, dummy show, offload, line break, fucking everything that he does is quality.
And the game wasn't going the way that we all expected as well.
They give ample. We'll break that game down.
Sharks had a good crack, didn't they?
Sharks had a decent crack. It was just the moments from Cleary that just iced the game. Like I think mentally they have it over teams. They just like, we have to be 40 fucking points ahead to beat these guys because it doesn't matter if we're neck and neck. It could be 10-2, 10-6. You're in the moment. You're in the game. Boom, boom, boom. 26. Good night from a couple of moments and key plays, not from just Nathan Cleary, from a couple of other young stars. And Dylan Edwards was outstanding. Everyone was outstanding, but like Nathan Cleary's quality touches, what he does with the ball, his kicking game, everything, all three facets of the game, he's a master at.
You said the big thing going into Origin when JT was telling you about you're sitting there talking about Origin moments and that. Like, man, Nathan just continually does it for this Penrith Panthers team and. The era that we're in right now, the salary cap era, they continue to lose players. They continue to have
defensive orientated everyone is. So when you're doing this, the defenses this is not the 90s defense, right? It's not the 80s. This is not the 2000s even. Like it's the 2010s. Now it's like it's so defensive mindsets going into games, how to shut people down, this and that. You're trying to shut Nathan Cleary down all day. And he still does that to you. So much information out there. You know everything, all the little details of every single person.
Yeah.
All the cues, video. This, that. Yeah, it's crazy. And you're going against guys that are, 6'3", 100 kilos, all weapons, athletic fucking freaks, right? And he's still doing that to you. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive.
I was waiting for it for next week, and I am still going to wait for it. But I've got a legit question for you. If they're able to pull this off, and we'll have the answer for it next week.
Greatest team of all time.
It'd have to
it's
be
already
right.
Nearly there already.
And I've got three. Where do we rank this team? I think that'll be obvious. Where do we rank Ivan? If he's able to beat Craig Bellamy in a grand final to go on with the names that he's already knocked off Wayne. He's obviously Brad Arthur and Kevy Walters aren't at the top of that list, but during that period, both Bellamy and Robinson have had really good, strong outfits throughout that whole time. 4 in a row in this day and age, and then we've got to have a serious conversation about. I know he's only young, and you think I get a bit carried away with this, but man, I've got so much respect for the OGs that have gone before us. But none of them have done this, mate. And I guess the one knock on him, and everyone loves to bring this up because whenever anyone wants to talk positively about a guy, people always try to bring back, like he hasn't done this.
It's just the mentality of people.
He's still won 3 from 6 series. He's been injured for a few of them. He just hasn't had a 2003 Joey moment. 2005 Joey moment.
And JT's 36 in a row.
And JT, so right? So they're the things that he's always going to be compared to, and that's fair enough. And
that's what I'm saying. Like everyone's quick to anoint and everything, but like I'm saying, like in 5 years, I don't think we're going to have this conversation.
There's not going to be an argument?
Because I think it's just a matter of time before he dominates Origin. Yeah. And, the thing about JT and Joey, different eras, JT's obviously not that long ago, but JT was so dominant. But look at those teams that he was in as well, in those Origin teams. But he was still the best player on the field. He's scary good, JT. Different moments. And I'm not even going to compare all three players because they're all totally different. Yeah. It's all going to go off a resume at the end of the day.
I think it shows the respect that he deserves now, though, that we're even considering it, especially you, because you played with both Joey and Thurston.
Yeah. I'm just seeing what I see, man. I'm just like...
And you're trying to be like... You've been trying to hold the brakes on me for a while. Yeah. When you continually see performances like that, you're like, man...
Because I know how much... work goes into defenses now, and what he's doing to them. It's fucking crazy.
It's crazy to see. The other guy is obvious.
He's nearly there too.
He's nearly there. So Nath.
Yeah, give the story of Jerome Hughes just a little bit.
Yeah, Nath does it in a certain way, and you didn't go stats, but I won't go stats as well because, as you know, I love feel-good stories. I like late bloomers, and although he debuted earlier than most, he does have quite a unique story. So let's go back.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's go back and go through the story of Jerome Hughes and chip in whenever you want, Mace.
Yeah.
So in 2013, he debuts. 1 game for the Gold Coast Titans. He would have been about 8 or 19 years old. He gets 1 crack. That's an L. Then he has a 3-year break, and it obviously doesn't work out at the Gold Coast. I think he heads north. He starts playing some Queensland Cup. Yeah. He links up with the Cowboys. 1 game. 1 game. So he plays 2 games in 4-year period. So I had to count that out. I was going to say 3, but obviously you got to you got to include the year that he started as well. So 4-year period, he plays 2 games. He then signs with the Storm in 2017. He only plays 4 games. So it didn't happen for him straight away at the Melbourne Storm.
Jeez.
2018, he plays a bit of a hybrid role where he plays both fullback and halfback, but halfback's not natural to him at all. And you can still see that he's more of a hybrid now to this day because he's not a traditional halfback, is he? 2019, at the end of the season, Bellamy makes a huge call. He moves on, and he moves on from Brodie Croft, and he makes Jerome Hughes his full-time halfback. Going into the finals, they go on a deep finals run. They win the comp in 2020 with him at halfback, Money at 6, and who I still consider the GOAT currently, Cam Smith. He is my pick for the GOAT. So 2020, he wins the comp. Fast forward the last 2 or 3 years, they have been in an era where Penrith have been so dominant. They've been so close. They've been still getting to their preliminary finals. They just can't get over the hump of the Penrith Panthers.
Yep.
He's going to win the Dally M on Wednesday. I'm confident in that. And he is playing in his second grand final as a halfback. And how ironic would it be if Melbourne Storm and the combination of Jerome Hughes and Cam Munster are the...
End it. Start.
They start it. They start this dynasty at Penrith, and they are the team to end it.
That
I think
fucking can happen. That's a good narrative that you're starting there.
I think that would be...
would it be fitting, or would it be like...
I think it's fitting. And the reason it's fitting...
that makes Bellamy the king?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, put him up there.
It's huge for the coaches.
Yeah.
So I think it's huge for the halfbacks. It's huge for the coaches as well. I think it cements Craig Bellamy as the best coach of all time. I think he goes to the best coach of all time. And if Ivan is able to win it, I think you have to have then it becomes a conversation between Bellamy and Ivan, because I think Craig Bellamy's coached in his seasons, like 40% of them, he's made the grand final.
You know, under his helm, top 3 teams with the best stat winning of all time in any team sport. They're third.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then like the Patriots and some other team, right? So
we went over this.
Yeah, they're third.
Year,
so that is just, it's whatever Belly's doing down there. It's crazy. Yeah. There's another. There's another level. Jerome Hughes too.
Last time you brought that up, I think people were talking about like you weren't including international teams too, right? Because there was a time in which the All Blacks were super dominant. So I think
just club teams.
Club teams. I think it's club teams. Yeah. So. Unbelievable. I can't wait to see this grand final. We're going to break down the games from the weekend. But let's get into some of the biggest news from last week. As you know, and if you've been watching this for a while, we rely on our audience. And the biggest news from last week was the KALYN Ponga situation. Yeah. And sometimes you get people that come on and they pick one side and they just pick apart holes in the other and they're real nasty. And I never wanted to get like that to either side. I was very sympathetic to both sides of the story, where I understood I do want the international game to be strong. I just think there has to be some compromise from the NRL side. And then I also understood, even if I don't know for sure what KALYN's reasons were, but with regards to him front-loading his energy to go into next year for the Newcastle Knights and not spend his time in the international game. So I got a couple of good messages, and I feel like they're really well balanced.
Yep.
And they've got an argument for both sides of it. And I guess we'll go through the first one for Boo Bear. And this is what he's got. So the problem with the Ponga situation is it sets about. By the way, too, if you're watching this for the first time, we know that KALYN is now available for Mel. So this is a non-issue anymore. But if that was still to have held, Bo Bear had written this last week. The problem with the Ponga situation is it sets a bad precedent. If Newcastle were allowed to let their star players skip rep duty to focus on club football, then why can't every other club? And that's what we talked about, right? That's what we're worried about. You might end up down the track with an Australian team made up of fringe first graders, and that would be the beginning of the end of International Rugby League. I agree with the part where you're going to be missing stars, but I don't think you'd have fringe first graders.
Never.
You'd still have a really good team. You just might be missing 2 or 3 stars.
I think you just worded it wrong. Fringe first graders.
Yeah. The NRL are trying to build this tournament, and players are contracted to play unless injured. Well, I didn't realise that until all this happened too last week. People say, well, Newcastle pays wages, but they don't really. NRL clubs are given the money to pay their salary cap as a grant annually. A little stop there as well. Yes, I understand all that, but Newcastle have $1.3 million of their salary cap that they're awarded from the NRL to make sure that to pay their star player. Therefore, they're the one they're the group that's hit the most once he. If he is unable to play. But KALYN shouldn't have to play those 3 extra games because it's a strain on the body. If KALYN made the grand final with Newcastle, he would have played an extra 3 games. He is prepared to play those extra games for his club, but not for his country. Of course, that's the point. He's trying to win a comp for Newcastle.
Semantics.
I like KALYN as a player, and from what I've seen as a person, he made a big mistake though. The Kangaroos would be totally justified if they never picked him for Australia again, because they want to pick people who want to be there through thick and thin, not just at the convenience or the convenience of their club. I agree with that in a way. I could understand a world in which if KALYN had decided not to backflip, if Australia wanted to go at least for a couple of years, why Mel's the coach, if he decided that I'm just not going to pick KALYN anymore off the back of this. Did Newcastle pressure him to make a decision? The jury is out on that, but it wouldn't be surprising if they did. My mail is KALYN made the decision for the betterment of Newcastle, but it wasn't necessarily Newcastle that were involved in making the decision.
He's got good points, but I don't know, it's very picky, playing 3 games for Newcastle. Your whole goal is to win a fucking comp.
Well, that's a part of
it. You don't care about what's happening after. If you get picked for Australia, none of these guys are playing in the finals now going, I better be good for these games for Australia. You just want to win the comp. You're so locked in right now. You get picked for Australia, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
All right, KALYN didn't really. I don't think KALYN knew the rules. I'm going out with that. Because I don't think you wouldn't have kicked up this much of a...
Did you know it?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I said, he wasn't tipped up saying, you can't drop out. It's going to be a fucking shitstorm. He would have done it on the quiet if he didn't want to play.
We talked about it last week with a bit of a medical clearance.
He can deep dive all this shit and say all that, but I don't think KALYN would have... He wouldn't have done this if he knew this was going to be a big problem there. Because he's backflip now he has to play. It's a good way for him to get in the Australian side anyway.
So this one's from Neil Song as well. Yeah,
he tricked Mal. Yeah, well, I'm in the side, guys.
I think it's now evident that clearly KALYN was a part of his plans.
And he probably didn't know it because last year KALYN wasn't part of his plans, was he?
No.
And I 100% would have thought he would have got picked because he got the fucking Dally M and got a big run into the finals and he didn't get picked. Probably that's hanging on the back of KALYN's head as well. They brought Dylan Edwards on the wing.
Yep.
A couple of guys dropped out. He should have been in. Ben Hunt was 14.
Yep.
He should have been in that squad. There was 25 people picked. He was the best 20. You can't say he's not the top 25.
He had the shoulder injury at the end of last year.
No, he was available.
Are you sure?
I swear.
All right. I'm not as confident. Are you super confident in that?
Not now.
All right, let's not throw that out there. Yeah, because I remember when he had the padding in his shoulder at the end, and he missed the last game of the season because they'd already made the finals. Then they played Canberra. Just we'll be careful with that one. Yeah. All right, this one's from Neil Song. Hey, gents, as always, love the content. Wanted to give my thoughts after a week of pondering about the Ponga situation. It's pretty balanced, though. That's why I got it in here, mate. So I always only get the good ones. Despite it now being old news with Kevy being topic number 1, which we'll get to in a bit. Firstly, I completely understand where the NRL and RL and others involved with the Kangaroos are coming from. In their perspective, they've essentially been blindsided, and the Knights and Ponga could 100% have handled it the same way. A core chat with Mel, private conversation, or just say Ponga is injured and needs time off, and this is a non-story. On the topic of the importance of a Kangaroo jerseys, however, I have some potentially controversial thoughts. In my opinion, the value of the Australian jersey is easily the bottom at the moment of Origin, number 1, club number 2, and the national team, unfortunately, at number 3. Years ago, as OG will bring up, the Kangaroo Tours were an opportunity to represent the country and arguably the peak of achievement in the sport. Times have changed, though, and those involved with the international game have only themselves to blame. If you want to say the Australian jersey has to be worth representing, then they should be the ones to make it seem important enough to wear. You can't blame players for not planning around playing for matches they wouldn't have known were even going to happen until past round 20. Huge point, and I like this one. In any other professional sport, the confirmation of international tests would have been set months or even years in advance to put genuine value on the selections. At the moment, the Pacific Championship, unfortunately, has the public image of just almost being gimmicky, as there is yet to be a set formula for its future. Test matches should be the peak of the sport. However, the current setup has them feeling completely amateur, and I can almost guarantee some players feel the same way. Finally, around the topic of too many games being played, I 100% agree. 30-plus games a year is way too much for such a physical sport. The NFL is one of the biggest televised leagues on the planet, and they have 32 teams playing only 17 seasons. I think it's now 18. Even with that much shorter schedule, you will see teams resting players in games that have no effect on final standings due to how physically demanding the sport is. Things have to change in the NRL or the players will break. Sorry for how long this one was, but just wanted to get everything off my chest on the topic before I fell out of the news cycle. Thanks, gents. Go Sharkies.
He's pretty spot on.
Pretty good.
Yeah, good
it's
work.
pretty good.
I'm not even going to comment.
You know, if I'm going to put something that long in there, it's going to be. It's going to have to be pretty
anxiety. No, everything he says, I'm not even going to argue with this guy.
I think they're both really balanced.
Very balanced.
Because I can understand some of the points from Boober up the top as well, where he was.
They're both pretty smart.
Yeah, they've definitely put some thought into it. They can see, I guess they can see at least both sides of the story. And now it's a non-issue because KALYN has made himself available. I guess the most concerning part now, and I fucking touch wood on this so bad, because what if he gets injured now?
That sucks.
This is such a bad look.
You can't think like that.
You can't think like that, but now because this situation has played out this way, I hope my man gets through healthy. I hope he fucking kills it. He's probably going to play I guess he's going to play in the 14 jersey, maybe even fullback. We'll see how that plays out. Mel announced his squad, and some pretty good candidates in the backs there. So
you've got to put him at 14. Yeah. Let us know in the comments if he was available, but like last year, because I swear he was.
Yeah,
it was a bit of a drama why he didn't get picked.
Okay. This one is from, this is a YouTube reply, and this one's from Paul Heathwood. Mace, this is off the back of you thinking the crowd attendance at the Sydney Roosters games are poor. I love the old school East as well. East have been home game averages in Sydney boys, 24,000 they've been getting.
Average.
They got 27,000 against the Canberra Raiders too, which is huge considering Canberra's a non-Sydney team as well.
So the Roosters suburbs.
Full credit to everyone who was part of the development and what they're doing at Allianz. It is easily, it is easily the second best stadium in the to watch outside of Suncorp. All right, let's get to Suncorp. Let's get to Brizzy. Huge news broke. Thursday night, Friday morning after we'd filmed the show. Brisbane and Kevin Walters have parted ways. Now, I've got some, you can chip in whenever you want here, Mace. So the Broncos have split with Kevin Walters after a brutal review into the club's disappointing 2024 season. This was first reported by the Courier Mail. I think it was Pete Bedell. And the Broncos later put out a statement claiming it was Walters' decision to quit the club. Now, there's been some grey area around that. Yeah. I think maybe Kevy was informed.
Pushed.
He was informed of the review, and I believe off the back of that, I guess it was communicated.
Would have been brutal.
Yeah, it must have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
So this is what I sort of just broken the last couple of days. So in the reports, the News Corp reports, Collins relayed some of the feedback from the review, which included some alarming opinions of anonymous Broncos players, but also I want to get to the bottom of this, which is important as well. So the standards and leadership within the football department were questioned. While Walters reportedly received criticism for his communication style, inconsistent messaging, and lack of organisation, News Corp revealed one issue in particular where a member of the football staff This is huge.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Would spend hours every game cutting up vision from the previous game and it just not even be used. So a lot of people were quick to target the players, but there's clearly more issues in and around. Once the football staff are
under the scrutiny like this,
part of the review, they're telling the higher ups that, mate, we're cutting video, we're trying to get detailed information, and it wasn't being used. It's not just a players versus Kevy issue. That's what I want to get out off the back of this. After hearing the criticism, Donaghy and Collins left the room while Walters reportedly went berserk, and understandably, at the staff that remained in the meeting and questioned their loyalty.
100%. That's why Kevy quit. You can't work in an environment like that.
You couldn't, right?
No, not when people are throwing you under the bus. I bet Kevy was probably doing the same shit last year. No one said anything. But guess what? They'll win. They got to a grand final, and that you just sort of let all those little things slide.
Yeah, but that's
They're
not
letting it slide. I know. I'm just saying. Like, I think it was the same shit going on last year. But guess what? They're winning.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you lose.
So it was a band-aid.
Yeah, because you had a talented side, and you probably should have won the comp. Blah 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 blah. But you didn't, and now you're probably doing the same things, and then like people will start dobbing on you. It's fucked. It's snake world. Bullshit move.
When you get like, I've never been in this position before. I don't think I was a big enough name player. I'd imagine it's happened at clubs before for sure. Have you ever been in a review when the CEO and that?
Not undermining like this to a coach. Never.
Yeah.
I'd never see it. I mean, I played on some good coaches. That's probably why. But I never saw it like this.
Yeah, gotcha.
With the players and the actual staff coming after the head coach.
I think it's more common than you think. Than in this day and age.
When you lose.
Yeah, I think it's like not only in NRL too, I think it happens more in other sports now with the pressure that's associated with the
very
game.
Political and backstabby sort of environments. I didn't really realise that until I was doing some stuff at the Bulldogs. Now I don't see it there, but I could see how it's I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I could see how this could happen at a club. It's not happening at our club, but I could see it.
Yeah.
Because the last couple of years when you're not winning, you can see it.
I'm right? Still a little
with
bit
coaches and everything. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Just with the and I know it's very raw, and we're talking about like it was a really hard press conference to watch. Like I've been critical of Kevy a few times during his tenure, and although I think it's the right decision, I honestly do believe it's the right decision that Kevy's moving on. I still feel for the guy. Like you can tell he clearly cares about the club. Despite all this, he probably still cares about the players. I don't think the issue is Kevin Walters as a human being and whether they like the players disliked him. Yeah. When you're hearing messages, and if this is reported that it's true that there was inconsistent messaging and a lack of organisation,
that's bad. You
can see why there would be frustration with that. And the one part I always kept on hearing and again, I'm trying to be really careful with my words here because a person's just lost his job, and he's so emotional that it nearly brought him to tears.
Yeah, it's terrible.
The club needed to progress. They needed to make this decision if they were going to progress, and they're too talented. And I feel like the Brisbane Broncos, if they didn't make this decision, they would have been the South Sydney Rabbitohs and the Parramatta Eels of this year at Magic Round.
Yeah.
I think if you'd waited till Magic Round and made the decision then, it could have just completely gone off the rails. And now, and this is, when you look at the candidates, and there's one that stands out, and I've got a couple of names here. So
who do you reckon?
Here's an article that's come out probably the next day. The Broncos... Former Broncos coach Kevin Walters fought back tears at that emotional press conference. Dave Donaghy confirmed his time was done. While Walters did not answer any questions from the waiting media, he did share a few words, which was really emotional, like I said. I wrote down a couple of notes before some of this played out. How good of a job is this? Is this the best job that's become available since the 2013 Roosters?
Yeah. Broncos, that's massive, man.
Can you think of a roster right now and a club that's as good as this proposition as Robbo getting the 2013 Roosters who were able to in the same year recruit James Maloney, Sonny Bill Williams and Michael Jennings. Now, was he maybe a factor in them heading to the club? I don't know how deep that goes, but fuck, that was a good roster to get.
I never thought of that. Easily. This is the best job. Imagine Imagine this comes up right now.
Yeah.
Who would be the best candidate?
All right, so the one that stands out, everyone's been talking about, and there's been a bit of backlash from Broncos legends off the back of this, is Madge. Madge is my number one candidate for any team.
Madge.
And when you look at what the Brisbane Broncos are currently dealing with right now and what Madge has been through, you got huge personalities, young ascending players who are going to be household names for a while. Geez, it reminds me a lot about when he rocked up to South Sydney and changed a bit of the culture
this again, couldn't he?
Sammy Burgess, Greg Inglis, John Sutton.
Well, that was pretty good, wasn't he?
A young Adam Reynolds. He developed a young Luke Keary, who went on to be Benny Teo.
Yeah.
He had some strong personalities in that club, and I don't think Madge is a super I can't see Madge being I could never see Madge being a Craig Bellamy or an Ivan Cleary. I think he's too passionate, and I think he's a coach who will have a user by date. I think you could get a good 4 to 5 years out of Madge.
Easy. Yeah, I think that'd be the best job. If you imagine you want to come back into the NRL, this has just opened up the best opportunity.
So the elephant in the room. He currently coaches the New South Wales team. If you were Madge, put yourself in Madge's shoes. You just come off, you've got a 100% record at New South Wales. So you're one series, 1 from 1. Do you feel like you've got some unfinished business? You've just come off, in the last 2 years, 30-0 win, New Zealand against Australia. If there is the perfect time to get back into...
And he's already won a comp.
And he's already won a comp. He's won a comp over in Wigan as well in the Super League, so he's done the hard yards.
Yeah.
There's not many boxes that Madge doesn't pick. This is
if Madge is willing to deal with everything again. When you're in Origin, there's not that much coaching, you know what I mean? The X's and O's and everything, because everyone's pretty prime. You're playing with the best players, but when you're with the Broncos, the pressure coming under that banner, and then you got to deal with young kids, you got to deal with recruitment, you got to deal with all these other things that you don't have to in New South Wales.
He's currently now dealing with old boys externally. Gordy's not happy with I guess him being the favourite. Shane Webke.
Is that because he's New South Wales?
See, that I can't understand this bit. I've got mad respect for the OGs, especially like club legends who won multiple premierships, but I don't understand their argument of that he coaches the New South Wales team. Like, just say if Billy Slater was to become available as a head coach, and in the perfect world, like in a different landscape, you didn't have Cam Serraldo, who you fully believe in, right? So Cam Serraldo, just say Cam Serraldo has the year as last year, again this year, and you're looking for a new coach. Would you be opposed to having Billy Slater as the coach of the Canterbury Bulldogs because he's the Queensland coach?
No way.
No way in the world would that ever happen, right?
I know, it's silly. It's silly. I just think you want the best man for the job, right?
Yeah.
And Madge is that guy.
He is that guy.
He can bring all these things when you say when they're hammering like communication style, inconsistent messaging, lack of organisation.
Organisation.
Madge is all those.
Yeah. He's going to tick
the opposite, right? He's the king at all that sort of shit. So well, if you don't get him, that's a loss for you, Broncos.
Yeah, I
just
think
because of your personal hate. This is where it goes too far. Because of your personal hate for New South Wales. Again, just say you would hate him a little bit more if he played for New South Wales and you did that, you know?
Yeah.
I still wouldn't be against it.
Do you think there's a world you were in contact with Madge a little bit this year when he was trying to get the old boys back involved with the New South Wales? Do you think there's a world in which Madge can win those guys over if he gets the job? Or are we purely looking at a guy like Josh Hannay? Billy Slater's already ruled himself out. He turned it down pretty much straight away. BA's another name that was tossed up. A couple of other coaches that have just lost their jobs recently. I can't see it.
I don't see any of those guys doing that.
I think it's a 2-horse race. I think it's clearly Madge as the best candidate.
And Josh Hannay?
And I think Josh Hannay's the next best option if they can't get Madge. If Madge decides to stay with New South Wales, then I think Josh Hannay is a candidate who's been so close, been talked up by a number of people that we're familiar with, and he's got a great reputation. I think it'd be Josh Hannay number 2.
I think Madge, if he's weighing up everything, he's like, you know what, I can probably come back to New South Wales coaching in 3 or 4 years if this doesn't work out, but I'm not going to get an opportunity like the Broncos ever again.
I think that's fair.
So I think that he'd be tossing that up. Yeah, New South Wales is great, but I could eventually go back to that. You can't ever get this opportunity again. So if I'm the Broncos and Madge, I'm making this happen ASAP.
What year? How many years
3
have you
years.
offered him? 3 years?
Yeah.
I reckon to get Madge out of it, I reckon he's going to put. He knows that there's not.
What do you want? 5?
So I reckon you go 5 if you're Madge.
Yeah. All right.
He's holding all the chips.
Yeah.
What do you got for us? The what? Both? No way. No, Lukey just asked New South Wales and Broncos. Can he do both? No fucking chance. Not a chance.
There's a rule that you
Do you really want to piss Gordy off with that, Lukey? Do you think Shane Webke and that are going to load him?
That's the one that'll really tear him out. Yeah, Lukey, no
you cannot do both. Madge. Not in this day and age. And you cannot. Oh,
100% you cannot.
You cannot do, yes, this is where I would understand the OGs going off their nut.
Yeah.
Lukey, you can ask Gordy. We're mates with Gordy. He's a friend of the show. You ask Gordy.
We'll fight you next time.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I understand the passion.
That's one or the other.
Yeah.
Yep. Pardon? Yeah, so now Lukey's worried about New South Wales if Madge gets it. That's a good question. Well, he's got to get it first. We don't know if he's 100% got it. So let's wait. And that can be a topic for next week if anything happens or developing with this Broncos story. But if I'm the Brisbane Broncos, man, you better it's Madge. It's Madge and distant second.
Yeah,
and that's respectfully to all the other coaches.
They should understand how hard it is to get good coaches.
You know what? And factor this in too. And you've got to factor because people put this as a cross next to Madge's name. Won a competition over in Wigan. Did the apprenticeship in the Super League, which I love, and was an assistant coach before that. Then he comes back and wins a competition with South Sydney. Breaks a drought too, by the way. Probably, arguably, the most pressured club in Sydney because of what they've been through. He goes to the West Tigers, and I seen Matty Johns talking about this, where he said he felt like he learnt more at the West Tigers gig than he did at the South Sydney gig because everything that could go wrong basically does go wrong at that club. Then he goes to New Zealand, rebuilds himself, rebuilds his resume, wins the Pacific Championship, goes to the final against semi-final against Australia. Yeah. He was really close in that Rugby League World Cup semi-final as well.
They win that, they win the World Cup.
And he wins a series and knocks Billy off and everyone's talking about Queensland can't go on another run and he breaks it and they're down 1-0.
It's fucking crazy. Get him.
If they do not get him,
it's a lack of professionalism for the Broncos.
Yeah.
I understand McGordy and Webby are because they're passionate Broncos and they hate New South Wales. It's simply they're blindfolded.
And of course, they're highly emotional still too because one of their best mates has just been fired and shown.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I'm totally with it. I'll be like that as well.
Mm. Do you think there's a world in which if Madge gets it, he can sort of win them back over, or they'll be pretty stubborn with it all?
So stubborn until he starts winning.
Yeah, gotcha.
You got to win up there. The Broncos expect premierships.
Here we go. I think Matty made a statement. I seen Matty made a statement. If he said they'll win a comp with Madge in the next 3 years.
I think so as well. If they get a 7.
I like Adam Reynolds is still there.
Yeah, how long for? 2,
yeah, but
Adam Reynolds. Within 2, I'll give him 3 as well. I reckon he could jag one Reynolds in 3.
Here's one for you. If they get Madge, I was almost going to go crazy. I reckon their floor next year is a preliminary final.
Fuck yeah.
Preliminary. They get to the top 4, and I think Penrith have to drop back surely with Fish, Luai, or whatever. Surely, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying this year. I've been saying this for 3 years, but surely. Melbourne are getting Stefano next year. I think they take a step up.
Yeah.
Roosters are dropping out with all the players that they lose, which we'll get to in a bit. Cronulla are an interesting watch. I'm going to say if they get Madge, they will be competing for a grand final next year.
Totally agree.
Next year.
Yep.
So grand final, win or loss. There you go.
Interesting.
There you go. That is the fucking earliest of crows because he hasn't even got the job yet. All right, so let's get to the first game. The Storm 48 defeat the Roosters 18, and we called it, mate. Didn't the kickoff live up to expectations? This one's from Forge Fitness. Kickoffs. Hi guys, love your potty. Has quickly become my favourite for anything and everything rugby league. I love a kickoff, but common sense says it will be changed soon. It just so obviously has high risk. What are Triple OGs and your thoughts on a reasonable alteration? My idea is that if the ball is caught on the full inside the attacking team's 20, they get a restart on their 30. I reckon the 20 is probably a little bit better. It would end up being more like a rugby union restart, but I think that could keep an entertaining spectacle but responsibly remove some of the insane risk. Has some merit. I think catching it inside and having a 20-metre restart while also allowing the team to still have a short kickoff if they want to get the ball back.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do much about it next year. It's coming.
There's going to be definitely conversations.
It's going to be something. The conversations are going to get a little bit more serious this preseason.
Yeah.
How can you limit it? I mean, fuck, how do you, right?
I think that's a decent
like how do you alter the risk? Like you got to change the whole thing.
So
right? How do you do that?
So just say if you have this option, right, you can decline not to take the free tap as well, right? Like if you want to set the tone, just say you like your chances with Nelson Asafa Solomona compared to if you catch it and you turn around and you see same team, respectfully, Josh King, right? If Jerome Hughes catches it and he's got Josh King, he might just go hands up, tap on the 20 because he's not gonna get the same meters. If you're Munster on the other side, you catch it, you look up, you go big nasty, get into him, big fella.
Yeah. Something that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Like that's a big change. It could be a tactic. Yeah. You get the 20-metre restart or you just want to get into them because I think you can't take that element out of the game because it's so fun to watch. But the risk is crazy, right? Look at Lindsay Collins. Ask Lindsay Collins if he likes it.
Okay, so let's get to that. We knew there would be fireworks and it didn't disappoint. The tactic to kick to Collins was the right call, but Nas just missed his target ever so slightly. My biggest concern with the blowback and the aftermath of this is I thought grade 3 was a ridiculous grading. Yeah. It cannot be grade 3, in my opinion, without clear evidence of direct shoulder to contact head to head. And I didn't see that. I seen chest to shoulder with a whiplash factoring into
Lindsay
shoulder contact.
A little bit because he got hit from that side. It's just like
Nas didn't leave the ground.
Didn't power up.
Yeah.
Like
Suaalii was a grade 2. Now
and they're putting this one worse.
Well, Suaalii had the factor of mitigating circumstances. Slipping, which Lindsay Collins dropped his target, but he didn't slip. He dropped ever so slightly. I genuinely thought it was chest into Lindsay's shoulder, and then through that action, it leads to the whiplash. Now, do I think he deserved 10 in the bin? Yes, because that has clearly been a 10 in the bin action this year. So I wanted them to keep that. Grade 3 for me is too much.
Too much.
I thought it was a grade 2, and if you were able to break down the evidence of it, then you could get it down to a grade 1, which would essentially seen Nelson.
Do you think that they've given him a grade 3 so it's impossible for him to play?
I think that's a part of it, yeah.
Because I don't think he deserves a grade 3 and be rubbed out because of that. But it did. Do you think that moment changed the whole game?
You've got to factor it in for sure.
The back ends are halves.
Like Lindsay Collins
does a lot of work.
Yeah, and
like he's not as damaging as say like a Payne Haas or anything like that. But like he plays massive minutes.
Yep.
So then it saves your bench.
And he does all the
little things. He kick pressures. He does a lot.
Yeah.
Right. He's a big body. He's 6'4", 6'5", and he would have been going at it pretty much the whole game.
It obviously affects.
It had to affect the outcome.
The Roosters, right, Lindsay, but it hugely affects Melbourne too because they're not. There's no way Nas is going to get off. Now we're recording this Monday morning.
Just say if. So this is the catch, right? When you're thinking about kickoffs, because you want to set the standard and you want to go as hard as you can, but you don't want to knock Lindsay Collins' head off like that, right? But that's the risk that you have, and that's the risk that Nas took when he hit him, right? Because you know what sort of intent you have. You know what I mean? Like you want that sort of thing, but. Not as bad as like Lindsay getting knocked out cold shoulder to the head. But that's the risk that Nas took, right? He could have easily just sort of embraced himself and took a hit, right? Do you know what I mean? But
yes
then you get 10 minutes, you get him off. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It can change the balance of the game in that one fucking split second.
Yeah.
Where Nas could have just put arms tackle, no, bang, like that. Like they're the circumstances that you got to deal with. And it's like, this is why the sport is so fucking crazy.
Yeah, we play a brutal sport.
It's a brutal sport, man. And if you want to take a kickoff, Lindsay has a lot of people to run at there. He knew where Nas was.
Nas knew where he was.
Nas knew where he was. So what I say, if you kick to that corner there, he's going to be on his right shoulder, right? He put him exactly where he wanted to. If he goes anywhere near that, he gets dragged out the sideline.
He missed his target by an inch, 2 inches. Like he just got the chest into his head, into his shoulder, in my opinion, which led to whiplash. Then the contact from Lindsay Collins' head hit Nas's shoulder after that.
But most players love kicking that way, right? most kickers love to kick that way because they're right-footed. But if you can pump it there, because you got hitters on there, they want to put you on their right shoulder. So regardless of where Lindsay is,
that's a good point.
You know, I'm going to put you on my shoulder, my inside shoulder.
Yeah.
So you see the angle that Nas had. Lindsay had nowhere to run unless Lindsay got the ball and beelined it for the middle of the field.
Do you reckon?
Which you can't.
Do you reckon tactically a big part of it was the angles for sure?
It's angles, man.
Do you reckon they wanted to kick away from Jared to make sure that didn't happen? For sure. No.
And just set it and people just love tackling on their right side, and they know that you can't hit Hargraves on your left. No one's got proper tackle technique like that on your left. Everyone's got a good right.
I was left edge back rower, and I used to try to hug the sideline as much as I could and push because I was always way more confident in my right than my left. So ideally, if a player ran, remember that one where fucking Stevie Matai just laid out George Burgess?
Yeah.
So George ran off the kickoff, and rather than running to the middle like they normally did, squared me up and was running at my left shoulder. So I started going like this, and then fucking Stevie just ran in front of me and just destroyed Georgie. That was clean too, by the way.
That's clean. But that's the thing. It's a tactic to go kick deep and pass the numbers on the hash line. So he can't. Just say if you kick it straight on the, just this side of the hash lines, you can get to the middle of the field and you split the defense straight away.
Yeah.
But if you bang on the inside hash line and it's a sprint, right? It's a 40-meter sprint. That's what happens.
Fuck.
Bodies collide, and
I feel so sorry for Lindsay.
Nas probably won't play in the grand final.
He won't.
Lindsay's rattled for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it probably costs them a grand final spot. Maybe, potentially. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll never know.
Who knows? But that's that one moment that fucks up a whole grand final for both clubs, because I don't think Melbourne can win it without Nas.
Yeah, I picked Melbourne, so I'm staying on Melbourne, but I can understand why you'd say that. Hughes, Pappy and Munster got the spoils. 7 tries between them. Fucking hell. They were outstanding. And I guess if there was any doubt around some of the decisions that we happened, because I'm going to get to like a knock-on that was missed, and we obviously now talked about the Lindsay Collins.
Yep.
The fashion in which they won, I guess, dismissed everything that sort of happened early in the game. Because once you win by that amount, and I know you got to factor in Lindsay Collins not being there, but they were quite dominant. I thought it was Harry's best game of the year. When Nas was off the field, he come up with about 3 huge tackles in cover.
Massive.
On Dom Young, I think was one of them. I think Teddy was another one on that right-hand side where they were just getting stripped for numbers. If Harry's not there, I reckon the score's maybe 12-0 why Nas is on at least at the floor is 6 to sort of 12-0. Harry was unbelievable.
When your spine is that good, like they're still a top 2 spine in the comp, right? Or they're number 1. When they're all on, how do you beat that team? It's fucking hard. It is so hard.
Well, last time you said this, I tossed up Penrith, and the beauty of what we're about to see is it's going to get answered.
Spine versus spine.
Fully fit, both spines. It's going to get answered.
This is a grand final. It's worked out to be the best 2 teams, exactly like last year. Yep. That's what you want to see. The only reason why I was backing the Roosters to win is because I backed them from the start to win the grand final. How am I supposed to not?
Of course, and you also understood there was a world, and I said
could have possibly won, right?
I was saying this through the middle part of the week. I reckon if Melbourne Storm played the Roosters, same teams, same roster. Like considering the Sam Walker and Brendan Smith, I reckon the Storm win this game 7, maybe even 8 times out of 10.
Yeah.
The part that I was worried about was the pressure that was involved with the hoodoo, and Melbourne have 3 years now they've been getting so close, haven't been able to take that next step as well to get in the grand final with Penrith being so dominant. So I seen a world in which Melbourne could have got a little bit nervous looking ahead. So that's why I was a little bit worried about Melbourne. Now they get 1 extra night rest. They get 1 extra night's video session of review on Penrith. And I talked about the big 3 in Hughes. And sorry if you missed my dog of the week in Hughes. I wrote down a full part about him, but I put it into the BSC dog of the week. Jesus' partners are looking good. The Clubhouse podcast of Jerome Hughes, Ryan Pappenhausen and Cam Munster, they are in really good nick. Money's looking like he's starting to get back to full fitness. Pappy, that's the best game I've seen Pappy play back from injury against a team that's mattered.
Yeah.
He's had big games like that against the Gold Coast
good,
Titans,
man.
against the Bulldogs last year when they weren't that great, but or teams of that nature. But that was class from Pappy.
Yeah, everything was class. Skinning like some of the best defenders in the game too. Like that left edge for the Roosters got exposed like I've never seen.
They targeted that left edge badly. Yeah.
Crichton and Keary, really, really. You're talking 5 tries with those guys around.
Yeah, I would say yes. It was a combination of both. Roosters weren't great, but Melbourne had a clear plan, and they were clinical.
Some of the tries, like where Jerome Hughes is just running through you.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Off the back of momentum.
Come on, yeah, I know, but like their defense is a lot. They're all predicated on their defense, right? Yeah. And there's the difference between having really good middles, right? Crichton, he's relying on a really mobile, physical middle.
Lindsay Collins, he's not there.
He's the 5-man there who puts more pressure on the inside, making Jerome Hughes play early, making Money play early, Pappy, so he can release the 4-man onto his man, and then Keary's doing his own thing. They're on different planets, mate. Yep. Keary's trying to take care of his thing. Crichton's here, getting exposed on the middle. Crichton doesn't trust his middle. Do you know, like it's very bad. I
think the player that they targeted the most was Keary. So what Keary does, he's a wily little veteran. We talked about him and Adam Reynolds before, starting at South Sydney. Daly, Reynolds, Keary, all 3 of these guys, they do a job right. They try to get up and spook you. So if they see shape coming, they try to get it up and shut it off. If it doesn't work out, we used to call it triangles, remember, Mace? Yep. You create triangles, and those are little pockets for the Melbourne Storm to attack to. Part of why they're so successful, they must have the answers, whatever it may be. I know they broke them in multiple different ways, but particularly the shape around Keary, they love their chances there, and they continually went at it. And I know they got some joy in other places a little bit longer on, but whatever their game plan is for attacking that sneaky little halfback, like a Daly Cherry Evans, like a Luke Keary, like an Adam Reynolds, they know how to work that veteran who tries to bluff you into not going their way. They do a great job.
You could bluff a lesser team, but not those guys.
Yep.
That was a proper clinic on that edge. And their middles got tired working for them, and they got exposed. Like Crichton's a gun defender, and he got exposed there.
He looked a bit lost, didn't he?
Yeah, and he probably didn't know why.
Yeah,
because they threw a lot of shape, a lot of numbers, and they were relentless. They'd get at him, he'd have to retreat, and then they'd go bang straight back at him again. It was a masterclass from Bellamy.
Yeah,
and his coaching and his coaching staff. Put it that way.
Yeah,
it's a fucking plan.
We're going to get to the Roosters in a little bit, but I just want to quickly, before we get off the Melbourne Storm, I reckon the point of difference in this grand final, and the reason I think Penrith should be favourites by a point or 2, but I have some confidence in the Storm. I think it's the big wingers, mate. I think their size, tick, speed. I think they're faster than Toto and Taruva, and they're powerful, mate. Their carries in yardage match Taruva and Brian Toto's carries, because I was watching Bizza on Saturday night.
He played his best game.
Oh, he was outstanding.
Yeah.
In the best possible way. So
was Taruva.
Yeah, Taruva was really good.
He was up.
I thought Toto was excellent. We'll get to that.
Yeah, he's nearly best on ground.
And as for the Roosters, it was the end of an era, and I thought showed absolute class from everyone that was out on the field, and the way they celebrated both Luke Keary and Jared Roy-Hargraves.
Good on them. They deserve it.
Yeah, compared to, I think there's going to be a world in which we see maybe Swalei and Joe Manu return and play for the Roosters again. And I was thinking of JWH specifically, and I wrote down every good movie, every good TV show that I've loved growing up has a villain, has a good villain, and he was mine.
He's been a good villain.
You were mine as a kid growing up. You at the Bulldogs were the villain that I loved to hate, but I also respect the shit out of it. I always respected what you did for the team, and I also had so much respect for Jared and the player he was for the Roosters, but it didn't make me... I didn't hate you any less because of it, and I always wanted to see you lose. And I think it's one of it's an ultimate compliment as well, right?
Yeah.
To have that guy be that dude for that long.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about Jared, because also you've played with him, you've been a teammate of his. There's never really a guy who's competed against him that has a bad word to say about the person as well.
Not one.
They've had dramas on the field, but he's got so much respect off the field.
Yeah, he is. He's one of the genuine leaders and like just that bloke that you just hate to play against. Like he's a proper OG, old school, fucking old head that I'm pretty sure the game's gone, thanks, Jared, but fucking see you later. You know what I mean? Like, because they're trying to clean the game up big time, right? Yeah. And in the last, say, 5 years, like how many, he's just about it, right?
Imagine how many games he would have played in extra, like 30 games, 40. I reckon.
Yeah, but like it's great to see the other players. And yeah, exactly. As a person, probably one of the most genuine, nicest human beings that you'd ever see. You wouldn't think that he would play like that if you met him as a person. He's just got
I've seen a couple of guys that have been like that though, yeah.
Yeah. He's a a good man. He deserves exactly what he got, right? And that much respect in the game. And
Luke Keary's heroics when Cooper Cronk goes down. Cooper Cronk gets a lot of credit for that, you know, changing the culture there and getting Roosters over the hump. But
Keary,
it was Keary's Clive Churchill performance.
Both highly respected, and you can see that at the end of the game. It was great.
Huge off-season coming up for Robbo. I'm really excited to see this too. Well, I guess people think I hate on the Roosters when I'm critical or I try to come up with some constructive criticism for the Roosters. I think Robbo is a champion coach. And when you look at what the Melbourne Storm are currently doing with a new big three off the back of the success that they had, right?
It's bullshit.
The best coaches evolve. The Roosters will not tolerate a down year. And they need to address the problem with the Storm and the Panthers. So I think the Roosters, like Robbo in particular and their staff, need to watch every game this off-season, like not talking about pre-season. This break, spend as much time in video review figuring out what Penrith and Melbourne are doing against them, because in order to win the grand final, they've got to be able to beat those two teams.
Yes.
And they've got to figure it out. And you can't like...
What do you do next year, but when you lose all those players?
It's going to be, mate.
It's going to be way harder.
It's going to be Robbo's most important year. And I'm excited to see it. I think he's capable of it. I've got a huge opinion of Robbo. And it's the knock on him and the criticism is he's been littered with stars. They're all done. Like he's still got Teddy. He's still got Radley. He's still got Sam Walker. He does still have a nice core. He's got Spencer Leniu. He's got Lindsay Collins.
Oh, he's got enough.
He's got Connor Watson. He's got Angus Crichton. So it's not like he's got fucking a dud team. I'm super excited to see what Robbo can do with this team next year.
Does he give the keys to Sam Walker?
I think they're ready to be handed over. I think a big decision that they need to get him sorted, eh? And I think whatever they're offering him, it's going to have to go up because he's just like Madge we were talking about before, where he's holding all of the chips.
It'll be interesting, as you're saying, because they're all his mates as well, Robbo's, you know, like J-Dub, and he would have lent on them for leadership and everything like that, pulling all other players into line. And when you lose so much leadership within 1 year, in one go, it's fucking hard, man, because you got to embrace someone else. You got to empower some of these other guys. Are they ready to step up into that next level of leadership into the group? And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
that's the hardest thing. I think he has got great leaders there, but he just needs to empower these younger guys. Your next man up mentality.
Yep.
Is your team, kid. From
an outsider looking in, Jared would have always had respect during this time, but I think for a long time it was probably Boydie and Jake Friend.
Yeah, for sure.
Once they retired in the same year,
they held the group together.
Yeah, unfortunate circumstances, and it wasn't expected. I think Jared and Kez become, even though Teddy was given the captaincy on field, I think the two leaders and the two alphas in that team were Keary and Jared.
And Victor.
I think it's Victor's time now. I think it's Teddy's now. He's got the captain next to his people assume when you get given the captaincy that you're the guy. It's not necessarily the case. I think it is a huge year for both Teddy and Radley to take the reins.
Yeah.
And be those
everyone
guys
else should step up. They've got no problem with a great roster. You know, you look at that forward pack, you're still talking Crichton, Lindsay Collins, Spencer Leniu, Terrell May, Victor Radley. You just throw those names around.
Brandon Smith, Connor
Watson. That's just like off the top of the head. Come on, man.
Outside backs is where they're going to take a step backwards. So Dom Young and Tupou are still there, but no Swali'i and Joseph Barney. So we've got Mark Nawika Nitawasi. He looked pretty good in one game. Yeah, I've been working on it. We've got Junior Paunga as well.
Yeah.
I like him. And
surely they'll get someone else, but
yeah, they've got to be in the market for another outside back, surely, right?
Tony Staggs looks good in the tricolours, I reckon.
The knock on from Atkins, a lot of Roosters fans have been blowing up about this. It was huge. Alec McDonald clearly knocks the ball on, and because I was going for the Storm, I was screaming for the Storm play to get down because the next tackle you cannot.
Yeah, you can't call back on.
You can't go back 2 tackles. So apart from that, I thought Atkins. For the most part, caught a pretty good game.
He did.
I think him and Ashley Klein are the most.
I like how he broke it down. He goes, first the kickoff, then this, and then he goes, just take it easy or something to the captain.
I loved, to Harry. So Harry came out and questioned him. He was right.
The
first one,
he goes, you fucking near killed someone.
I loved, and on the second penalty as well. So Harry comes over the top and Jared loses the ball. Players are doing this now too.
Yeah,
they're not putting their hands on the ball. Harry dislodged it with his elbow. So, he communicates really well.
No, I like that.
I think it'll be Ashley Klein head referee, and I think Bunk official will be.
Because you see Harry's reaction. He's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. We're lucky we got Nas. He just got 10. He should have been sent.
Yeah.
What do you think of Money? I think Money, he just waited for his opportunities, right? He just played it so cool, and then those last couple of tries, bang. That move he put on Tupanua, that was silky. Fade to go out and then boom, break on the ball.
People don't realise how hard that is to do. Don't give enough credit.
Nah, because he was on his outside, went bang, and then broke in on the ball. That was lovely. The great ball from Harry Grinch.
You can get licked.
Oh, proper.
Heavily.
Tupanua can hit.
Yes.
He got caught skating. Then J-Dub it just got exposed, man. And it sucks because it didn't reflect how hard the Roosters went at it. Well, they just broke when that they were coming back.
Yeah.
And then boom, 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 boom. 4 tries.
I'll get it up. The try that
broke 25 minutes ago. It was pretty even. It was only 6 points in it.
I'll tell you the try that broke the Camel's back.
Yeah. I think it was Jerome Hughes' try. When he went straight after a quick play of the ball, bang, straight through Keary.
I think it was the one where they dropped him underneath. Does Jerome Hughes break through and then he finds Pappenhausen through the middle?
Yeah, something. I watched the full game, then I watched the mini last night to try and re-jog the memory.
Yeah. I'm still in disbelief that Radley even played in this game in the last couple of weeks. Nothing but respect for that level of toughness.
Even when he went through, made that line break real early and just fucking threw Pappy on his back. Real slide, just went bus.
Every time I was watching him closely, Melbourne did such a better job of getting at him too.
Yeah.
They didn't see their shape was in, rather than running directly at him, they had some shape where they were running at his shoulder and he couldn't
try and make him go out.
He couldn't make the play, He had to you've seen a couple of times where a couple of breaks he went to go reach out and he just couldn't.
And you know what I'm scared of? We'll break the game down is that's what they'll do to the 7 at Penrith, make him reach out. Because that's the only reason why you can hurt that shoulder. You stay tight. If you run directly at him, there's no risk there. But if I late footwork, all that kind of stuff, get you reaching, they're masters at that shit.
Okay, then let's get to that game. The Panthers 26 defeat the Sharks 6. This one is from Amrit Pelsing. Panthers' record on wet conditions is 3 wins and 6 losses. This is off the back of the last episode. They lost to Wooden Spoon West Tigers last season and they almost choked against Parramatta this year. I won't be surprised if Sharks win this weekend. Amrit, you were right in a way. The conditions, I think, did suit Cronulla because it allowed them to play into a Penrith, a little bit messy where I think if the conditions are good, Penrith are so much more clinical. So not a bad shout on that. It did stay close for a while. And this one from Chris Ainsworth. Lads, love the potty. Willie, Penrith must be listening to the pod as they ran the exact shape you spoke about, but used the centre instead. With Alamotti and Garner inside, outside, Nico and Luai out the back. Face ball to Alamotti for the Nathan try. Such good-looking shape.
It's hard to defend. If you're that 3-man, you get exposed so good because you're worried about the guy at the back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you got Luai or a fullback out there. You're like, you got to check your inside man.
You got inside, you got outside, and you can also see the guy sweeping to potentially double D and go around the back as well.
The lines that they're running are so perfect because he'll start there and then he breaks really late. It's like, it's nearly impossible to defend. If you execute at a high level like Penrith, You're just exposing that one person, making him make like two decisions, and he's got to make the right one.
The Roosters in 2013 had almost perfected it on the left-hand side with
Boyd Cordner, Teddy at the back.
No, Teddy wasn't there. It was Mini. No,
13 you're talking. Oh,
13
shit.
they were doing it. So 13 they had, who was his centre? It was Jenko and Michael Jennings and Boyd Cordner would run double shape on the 3 or 2 man, and they would have Minicello, or sometimes, you know, when Roger and Minicello were swapping there for at the back end of the season, and Mitch Pearce would just play short to Boydie a few times, and Boydie would go through untouched as well.
And they probably put that 2.0 when the 18-19 sides, because I remember like Latrell and Tupou, and you had Boyd Cordner, then you had Teddy out the back and Keary on that left. That was fucking near unstoppable. So Penrith are clinical, man.
Well, you know, the one part I love about this game is I love that Penrith didn't get it their own way, but that's the beauty of these two teams in the grand final. This game could easily be, coming up on the weekend, 30-all, 32-30, or it wouldn't surprise me if this game's 8-6.
So how do you stop that shape if you're
Man, we spent an hour in video trying to figure it out in 2013, and we come up with you have to completely – the fullback has to work his ass off to mark the winger. The winger makes strong decisions. Everyone be aware of it. So the centre just locks in on the Alamotti shape, and you just take your man. The winger takes the fullback, and then if Nathan's going to throw that big cutout ball over the top to Aruva and hit him on the full, then so be it. That's what we ended up settling on.
And I'll peel it back a little bit further, right? So going through that whole set of 6, Penrith are trying to get to different points, right? And it's all predicated on the quick play the ball or something like that. So always goes back to the middles, right? So they need to dominate that tackle, get your numbers right, and the amount of inside pressure to make Cleary play earlier to make him make a decision. Either you hit the front guy or he goes around the back so you can check and go straight out the back. If there's no inside pressure and you make Cleary go into the line that far, fucking good luck.
That's first job.
That's
if you can
exactly
get that done.
How you broke it down. That's what happens with Cleary gets to those spaces. Worst case scenario. But you got to shut that shit down. And Melbourne are kings at that. So and Cleary knows that as well. But Cleary will just have someone hanging on the inside, which will be Edwards. So you need to account for Edwards. So the middles cannot work so hard, because if you over chase, Cleary goes back to Edwards, exposes your middle. But if you do, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you got Edwards out the back, and they won't use that shape. They'll have Luai out the back. And Edwards, do you know what I mean? So there's different shapes that they're going to put at you. It's just you got to. They'll have variations. The middles have got to go, okay, we've got to allow for Edwards to be there, and then you've got to check, release, and get it. And you say, fucking, that's the hardest job. That's why the middles get paid $1 million plus.
Both middles are so much more diligent and do such a better job at ruck control than what the Sharks and Roosters do. So
because you go back to that play the ball before Cleary got the ball, it was so quick, and it got to Cleary like that, straight out in front. It was a laser, and then it was just too much. You can't run into the line. You're on your line. He needs to be hit well before that.
Yeah, he can't. Once you dig in the line, and Alamotti just
picking you pick your poison there.
Yeah. Nathan control. Well, we talked about the control of Nathan, basically breaking down the dog of the week. I was thinking, this is one thing I want to ask you, right? So when you start thinking, the question will be next week, is this the best team of all time? Is this the best coach of all time? Is this the best player of all time with regards to Penrith, Nathan and Ivan? I was thinking about, in your opinion, who is the second most important player of this dynasty? I couldn't split it. I really struggled to split between two, but I want to know who you think the six.
Yowie. I reckon.
Yowie was one of mine.
Yeah. And Luai, I think they've proved that they can both be great when one's not there.
Yeah.
Right? Luai's proved it. Cleary's proved it.
I had one from left field because he's currently not on the roster, but he's still important to the dynasty.
I don't know.
Mine was Stephen Crichton with the moments he's come up with in big games. So when you go back to
all three,
starting back all the way back to the intercept, which is a sliding doors moment, and some of the huge moments he's had for Penrith, scoring in every grand final. Now, a lot of people are probably going to think I'm crazy because statistically, he doesn't really have.
It's the moments,
but he has as bigger moments than anyone in this dynasty, and that's with full and then
the kick.
I'm thinking the kicks. Fuck. I'm thinking of Toto. I'm thinking of Romy. I'm thinking of Dylan Edwards. I'm thinking the Bash Bros. I'm thinking of Kicks and Appy that people have forgotten about because they've been gone for a couple of years. But Appy was a big part of changing the culture there at Penrith as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I settled with Yo, and I reckon you cannot talk about this Penrith team, where it currently is in the dynasty, without mentioning Critters' huge moments, like defining moments.
When you've won 3 in a row and you've had a big footprint on every single one you've won.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even though the Parramatta game was over in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was
a touch up. That was the middle's fault. That was the middles. That was Leota. That was Fish. That was Yowie. That was Liam Martin. Just front load and boom, they couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah, I reckon after 20 minutes, I thought Moses Leota was going to win the Clive Churchill.
Yeah.
But because the game blew out, it allowed so many points that then you started looking at stats. But Moses was the most important player in that game.
Him and Fish, they just take turns. And then even on the weekend, it was Yoey's turn. Like, because he gets off the back of those two.
Fuck, Yoey was good.
Yoey was good, man. If Cleary didn't do those clutch things in the moments that I'm looking at, Yoey was the best player on the field.
Most capped Panther, I think he's around 29, 30 years old. He's around 240-something games. Yeah. So he'll go on. He'll be a
300.
He'll be a 300 gamer, multiple premiership winner.
Yeah. He'll go down as one of their greats.
He will go down as one of the greats in the position. He'll have to be.
He is.
He'll have to be considered.
Very important. And his leadership and the way that he can take pressure off Cleary and Luai when it's not really working around the back. Like, it wasn't a backs game because they're going to slide out and everyone can slide. And
conditions didn't suit.
The conditions didn't suit. It suited the middle. Then what did they do? Take control, Yowie. Little short passes. Go out the back when you have to, when you pull the trigger. Other than that, front door, front load, let's go. And everyone just follows because they're all leaders in their own right. They're not just waiting on Yowie. They make shit happen, right?
A huge part of it, and you've got to consider it, is fuck, man.
There's Dylan Edwards too, bro.
There's just no egos in that team at all.
No, and they hold people accountable. Like, you can see it when someone fucks up. I think Kenny threw the ball and I think Liam Martin ended up dropping it, right?
Mitch Kenny
had just fucking dagged eyes and said something to him like,
I seen it.
I was like, oh, and then a couple other things like
twice.
Dylan Edwards, and then Dylan Edwards, something happened, and he's ripping into, like, he's got the ball, or Kenny ripping into the, he's still got it, right? Doing fucking post-contact meters, and he's still ripping into someone because it was a bad ball.
So Mitch Kenny gets out from dummy half, has Dylan Edwards, who looked like everyone around assumed was going to get the ball. He throws a cutout ball to Nathan. Nathan doesn't expect it, ducks it. Liam Martin hits the deck trying to pick it up. Once Nathan had dived on the loose ball, he gets up, turns around, looks at Kenny, and you see Yos, Edwards, everyone was in sync. Liam Martin, they all just went,
fucking be better. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, and I was just like, Kenny just goes, my bad. I didn't want to. He's probably thinking, fucking catch it, Cleary. And then Cleary's like, he ain't going like that because his shoulder's fucked.
Well, he didn't know it was coming.
Yeah, I know that, but he's still not going like that, right?
Yeah.
He needs it here. Cleary needs it here. It was just above his head, just like, catch it, Cleary. Come on, Prince. I just love little things like, they're the things that I look for because they've got egos, they've got all characters, and they're all on the same page. No one's better than anyone. No one's bigger than the team. That's what I can see. Luai holds you accountable, Cleary, because they're about it. You know, so if you're not, those little fundamentals like pass, give me a fucking hit. Hit me here, not here.
I mean, Mitch Kenny missed the couple, and he'll be.
And you can't do that against Melbourne.
No, you can't. Because
look where they were. Look at the field position you just give away straight away. Cronulla just didn't capitalise on anything.
Sharks just didn't have the. We'll get to the Sharks. We'll get to the Sharks in a bit.
Very pedestrian.
I love that Ivan called out Chris Butler after the game and talked about the no try because I think it's a genius move from Ivan Cleary. He's most likely probably going to get a $20,000 fine for it, but it's well spent. And I couldn't believe, and you wouldn't know, you're not good with names, so you wouldn't even know who Chris Butler is.
I'm assuming it's a ref.
It's a ref who's the bunker official.
Oh, he's a bunker official, not even the ref.
Well, he's the one that made the call that Sifa Talakai was outside shoulder, not inside shoulder. That was clearly a try to Taruva. That led to the Sharks coming back and scoring through Katoa for the first time they've scored a try against the Penrith Panthers
minutes.
In nearly 4 games. Just like I was optimistic and I'm excited to see what the Roosters are going to do, I think you cannot underappreciate what Fitzy has achieved with this team at Cronulla this year. And, you know, again, going back, these are probably the 2 teams that a lot of people assumed, you know, that I hate on, but I'm not. I'll critique every team, really. I'm excited to see if the Adam Fanua-Blake move can provide him that alpha that's been missing and therefore in moments like this can go toe-to-toe with a Nelson Asafa Solomona, can go toe-to-toe with it's not going to be James Fisher-Harris next year, it's going to be Moses Leota. For the Roosters, it's probably not going to be, it's not Jared anymore, it's probably going to be Spencer Leniu. You know, like that could be, do you think Adam is that alpha that can take this team to the next level? With a team like the Roosters, you'd expect the Roosters and Panthers to not be as strong as they were this year.
Do you think that their problem is that they're missing an alpha front rower? Do you think that's a problem? Or do you think Toby Root? No, I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah,
they can handle any pack. You're going against the Sharks. You know you're in for a day there. You're not worried. You're not worried if you're Toby Rudolph, if you're Royce Hunt, if you're like all these big boys out there, Kafusi. You're not really worried about the other packs.
No,
they can handle them. So Fanil Blake's just going to come in there and do a job. He's one of the best props in the game.
He's definitely going to make him better.
Yeah, he's going to make him better.
Yeah.
But is he going to put him over the line? I don't think so.
I don't think it matters what Adam does.
If you're throwing that sort of attack up and you're just dropping people off and not even going into the line and not doing anything, you're not moving the line at all.
Yep.
You're going to be fucked for most teams. It's very, very pedestrian attack. And that's up to Braden Trindle and Nico Hines to fix that.
All right, well, let's get to it because, like I said, it's a huge off-season for the Roosters in addressing what's going on with the Melbourne Storm and Penrith Panthers situation and how they beat it. They need to address the confidence or the lack of confidence that Nico's got at the moment, right? And it's pretty glaring. He's obviously carrying injuries, but I would say here's just one small detail that I'd do to help out Nico. I'd remove him from kicking goals at the moment until he gets full confidence back, until he's in full control of his game again. I think this year he struggled with a number of things, but in big moments in games while also kicking the ball, and specifically how well Braden Trindle went kicking the ball as well.
Great kicker.
He was kicking the ball so well while Nico was out, and if he was carrying that injury, right?
They need to find that balance, right, between those two. It's very important.
I think Nico should relinquish the kicking duties next year, and then
just the general play kicks.
No, kicking, goal kicking,
everything.
Goal kicking.
I'd nearly just let him just do short side kicks, pretty much coming out and let Braden Trindle kick the rest.
Well, Braden Trindle feels like he's doing 60-70% of the kicking.
Yeah, I mean, like just say if Nico's holding the short side and you end up going to Nico, he's your option. He's the other option, right? He's option 2. He can't be option 1. No, Trindle. And if you didn't know, now you know.
Yeah.
Right. If you're like looking at the whole year as a whole, now you're like when you do your reviews and stuff, and then coaching in the preseason, you're like, Trindle's our man.
Yeah, for sure.
For general play kicking.
And it needs to, I think it needs to get back to general play kicking at least to maybe a 50-50. Like because you're paying Nico so much, you need to address the confidence thing. Like I don't think you can say this year going into the finals that everyone felt easy around what was going on. I think they need to address it, get it out of the way. Admit that like he's seen the criticism that it's played a part in this year and he's lost a little bit of confidence, but he's willing to go back and work on his craft and continue to get
on himself.
Better.
Like that's what he needs to do, right? On his football, on himself, mentally, physically, spiritually, anything you need to do to be the best player.
Yeah.
And I think Nico's got that work ethic and he's smart enough and he's very self-aware.
I think maybe there was a little bit too much self-awareness. Like that's my problem. So how do you balance that? It's going to be a huge.
It's up there, and
it's going to be a Fitzy and Nico conversation, and I think it needs to be addressed. I don't think you can pretend like it's not there.
And Fitzy's one of those guys. He's very self-aware himself. He's a very smart man. He's into the psychology of things. He wants the best for Nico.
Yeah,
and he wants the best for the Sharks.
You asked me what else I think the Cronulla Sharks need. Yeah, when I was watching that game, there's no creativity through the middle when the halves aren't scoring. What do you got?
Yeah, exactly that. It was just very one-dimensional with McInnes at lock, and I'm like, it's not the answer there. It's not when you come up to these big games, you need to pull the trigger. You can't just go one out kick. Do you know what I mean? It was very pedestrian. I'm like, fuck. The main play was like a dummy with a block shape, not even digging nowhere near the line.
Yeah.
Once they dug into the line, Katoa ended up finding some space.
Yeah.
You know, like you just got to go into the line a little bit more. That's what fucking Cleary does. That's what all the best halves do.
The two teams that are in the grand final, and I think they've got a player of making the switch. Isaiah Yeo was a centre, moved into the back row and then ended up moving into the middle. Trent Liero, they sort of try, in a way, I think Melbourne are trying to mimic what Isaiah Yeo does, was dropping some of the shape, but also being able to have that tough carry and play 80 minutes. I think Teague Wilton can move to the middle. I think he's capable of becoming that ball playing lock. Rather than looking for a player outside of what they currently had, I think Sifa Talakai, you can put him back on the edge as an edge back rower, and I'd play Teague Wilton through the middle.
Need Talakai.
I love Talakai. Talakai's had a great season. Nikita's had a great season. Teague Wilton's had a great season. I think they're lacking creativity through the middle.
I think so too. Teague might be the answer.
Yeah.
Is Jack Williams the answer?
I've been waiting for it for a couple of years. I haven't quite seen it.
Teague might be a good shout.
Yeah.
Need big body. Big rangy, big minutes. I'm not sure if he can ball play, but
what do they do with McGuinness then? That's the problem.
Lee use him off the bench, or
I think so, right?
He can just come off as a slashy, sort of give Brayley a bit of a rest, just play in the middle, just fucking get out there and just rip in like he always does.
Use him like an Alec McDonald type, where he just comes off and just does all the shitty stuff like he normally does. Yeah. That's I'm trying. Like I don't.
I'm trying to think of. Like I was just looking at their attack. Like they defend good. They do everything good. Like they go hard in everything. Back five's good. Halves are good. They just need better half play. A little bit more creativity through the middle, because it becomes one dimensional. When you're in the prelims, what you got to do? You got to play football.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. Offloads through the middle. They can't ball. You can't out Penrith. You can't kick to the corners, and that. Penrith let them come back into the game because of their uncharacteristic mistakes.
Yeah, they made some.
Because usually they're clinical with shit like that, because they don't suit wet weather.
Penrith would be stoked to get that out of the way this week rather than next week, right?
There's your big performance, and they're all big performance, Penrith. We'll break that game down on Thursday, but
all right, we're looking forward to it. We're doing the potty on Wednesday this week.
Oh, are we?
Because we got the golf day on Thursday. Remember?
Shit.
So we're doing.
Cannot wait.
Pardon? It'll come out on Thursday. Yeah, correct. It'll come out on Thursday. That's us breaking down the games. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on Wednesday. We'll be filming. Thursday it'll be dropping, and then we've got the golf day coming up. So can't wait.